Parks, open space, places to exercise, meet your neighbors are essential to quality of life.
MacArthur Park, Echo Park, Hollenbeck, Lincoln, those parks are and can be the anchors of their community.
It could be recreation, it could be education, it could be entertainment. There's a connection between open space and community development.
People look at green jobs in the context of energy efficiency, renewables, but we're talking about teaching a whole new set of skills to a whole new set of folks who never thought of park conversion as a green job.
If we don't take this opportunity now to add more open space, we should not look back at our legacy and applaud ourselves. We have to do this now. Well, the city of Los Angeles is rather unique.
We're in a bowl, ringed on two sides by mountain ranges, and then of course we have the ocean to the west and the south.
Then we have what we call the flatlands, all the area in between the mountains.
You know, the city, like many cities, it was founded because we had a river, the LA River, which is very different than what the LA River looks like today. So it was a natural river going through Los Angeles.
The Los Angeles River sits within an 870 square mile watershed, which all feeds principally into the LA River.
We get rain, but we get it probably over a 2-week period. And that 2-week period, that river goes from a trickle to about 20, 30 feet.
The free-flowing Los Angeles River became a huge liability. Just as Los Angeles was entering the golden age of the Hollywood studio, massive floods hit in the 1920s and 30s.
There were a lot of loss to life and loss of property. So the Army Corps of Engineers, when the city and the state decided that for public safety, it would be better to channel that water because of flood control to capture stormwater runoff.
Right now it's a concrete channel. It's a straitjacket. The water is designed to race out to the ocean as fast as possible.
With the threat of floods under control, Los Angeles was poised for rapid growth.
Historically, there were farmland and orchards back, more than half a century ago.
And over the years, what would happen is developers would come in, buy this land, and start putting in homes. And then rapid growth, because of the weather and the movie industry, really, we started booming.
And really the development pressure in LA went from the central city, then it went over the hills into what we call the San Fernando Valley, and there's really nowhere else to go now.
Historically, we've been known as a city of sprawl and freeways, but it's also a city that doesn't have very much vacant land anymore.
More auto-oriented infrastructure and heavy development downtown left Los Angeles covered in concrete.
LA was built with the idea of lawns as our public space. And so instead of lots of regional parks, the city was designed more around individual private space.
That arrangement really speaks to how our park system developed too. Westlake, the Wilshire District, Koreatown, these areas that were sort of the first suburbs of Los Angeles, where you have a park infrastructure that's built for a suburban environment in some of these communities like that, but those neighborhoods have changed.
LA, probably at one time we thought we were pretty recession-proof.
The recession hit Los Angeles hard. I think it's number 4 in the country in terms of bank failures and number 2 in terms of foreclosures.
Which then translates into a tax base that we no longer had or as high as we had in the previous years. We've had to readjust some of the services that we've had to provide because of the downturn in the economy over the past 5 years.
Residential property values dropped as much as 60% in some neighborhoods. This drove further foreclosures and commercial vacancy, leaving areas of the city riddled with red fields.
A red field in LA is pretty much any of the properties that you see that might look underutilized. Some might look like they're abandoned, some might actually be contaminated.
Empty lots are always a problem, vacant, foreclosed. The building's there, but there's nothing occupying it, and so there's lots of graffiti and trash, and there's not even a fence, and it's a dumping ground.
There's hot spots of where they are, and it's usually in poor neighborhoods. Red fields are pretty high, and park space pretty low, so there's a definite correlation, and it all has to do about economics.
Disadvantaged communities were hit harder than the more affluent areas in Los Angeles. The highest loss in property values were in the poorest, most densely populated regions, which were already under pressure from unemployment and foreclosures.
What we know from the Red Fields to Greenfields project in LA is that only 2% of available land in the city contains parks or open space for people to congregate. In low-wealth neighborhoods in the Los Angeles area, that's a major challenge.
Park poor communities are often poor communities, whether that's low income or communities of color that don't enjoy kind of the same green access as other communities.
Our problem in LA is access. We do have parks. We have over 417 parks in our system, but there are communities right now that are underserved.
Fewer parks and inviting open space results in a lack of incentive to invest in these neighborhoods.
In the current economy, financial institutions have restricted credit, so it's less opportunity for them, but it also threatens the portfolio of loans that they have, which it's sort of like a cycle, because that then limits their willingness to expose themselves to even new loan production.
Good things come out of bad situations. And with the downturn in the economy, now we're in a position that we can right a lot of wrongs. Buy these properties, rehabilitate them, put them back on the market.
When will we ever have this much inventory that is either foreclosed or underutilized? It makes a lot of sense to look at the long view. That is the opportunity, but it's also the challenge.
The biggest opportunity for open space in Los Angeles is our LA River. Over 30 miles of it is in the heart of the city of Los Angeles.
Revitalizing the Los Angeles River has enormous economic and environmental benefits for many communities. As industrial sites along the river become vacant, there is an opportunity to acquire these sites and bring a fresh economic engine to the area.
The river goes through parts of the city that need attention, that need redevelopment. It gives you something that can be a catalyst. We have this spine that goes all the way from the valley to the sea. And if we can green the spine, if we can make the spine some place where people want to be and want to go, it has immense benefits for the city.
This could potentially be the largest urban greenway in the country, running 51 miles. It could become an alternative transportation source. This has an opportunity to connect to the neighborhoods in a way that the mountains and the ocean do not connect.
The origin of Los Angeles is also its best chance to create a network of public open spaces and drive reinvestment in many suffering neighborhoods. Much like the river in its current form, the many vacant lots and foreclosed homes in lower income areas are physical assets that will vastly improve the surrounding area when transformed. Spread throughout park-poor communities, a network of connected pocket parks will create jobs, entice further reinvestment, and improve the quality of life of residents.
We're not going to have 100 acres of open space or vacant property. What we have are smaller properties that can function as opportunities for pocket parks.
We start to fill in the vacant lots that have been sitting vacant for many, many decades. We start filling that in with parks and open space. Eventually, we're going to create a network of green.
You start off with the smaller spaces that people will walk to. There are larger spaces that they may need to take a bus or even to drive to play organized activities. There's even a larger space like the beaches or the mountains where they'll go, just to be away. So it's all part of a system, and really those small neighborhood parks are the part of the system that LA needs to focus on and must focus on really to meet the needs of its residents.
The Los Angeles Redfields to Greenfields project estimates a handsome reward for the initial investment, with emphasis on current park-poor neighborhoods. A green network through the city will provide a new incentive for walking, cycling, and public transportation, bringing new foot traffic to local businesses and attractions.
If I have money to invest, I'm going to go where I can see seeds or growth, where I can see something happening, where there's some kind of motivation for me to be there. So from a commercial real estate perspective, where there are green spaces, open spaces, and new development, there's room for additional development of all kinds.
Part of revitalization is not just what it looks like, but is really about how community feels about their community and about how others who may want to come in and begin to shop in those local businesses can help the community. We've seen communities that were once economically challenged, if you will, become less so, partly because we've added more open space, added more green space, and really made it more inviting.
What's important though is to recognize that it takes a critical mass of investment, that it's not just a one-off pocket park by itself, but how do you take something like the Los Angeles River and really create this greenway? It's that transformational impact that lifts all ships.
Anytime in this country that we've seen growth and new creative thinking has been in down times that forces us to look at things outside the box.
We will never see a better time to invest in parkland and open space. It could be foreclosed property, it could be underutilized mall. This is the time to do it. Our grandkids and great-grandkids, great-great-grandkids will benefit if we make the proper investment now.
By building lots of small parks across the city, this really gives us an opportunity to fill in the missing portion of LA's park system, and that's that walkable neighborhood park that every community needs. That's going to help with that transformative phase for LA, help us look at our city in a different way.
And when we have the opportunity to slow down just even a little bit, you begin to appreciate the inherent beauty that LA has. And all it takes is giving the people the opportunity to be in that type of space.
And the results of it are obvious. They're very, very evident. When you see people congregating, you see crime going down, education levels going up. That's the potential that an initiative like this has. And it will make a significant difference over time. It will actually change the face of Los Angeles.